All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started since it's 12 o'clock. I'm really excited because we are talking about two of my most favorite tools to use to create some really nice social media graphics, or, if you have one of those photos on your farm that's like really dark and you might need to brighten it up, that's what these tools we're going to be talking about today will help you to do. So we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Kristen. For those of you who are attending the very first session, I'm sure you guys all know me by now if you've been attending most of the sessions. But nice to meet all of you guys or to see you again. So I did put up our contact information. The website's tabletopmediagroup.com. And then our email address is info@tabletopmediagroup.com. If you do have any questions, I am more than happy to help. I just had a call yesterday with somebody who had just a couple follow-up questions about Facebook Business Manager. And then feel free to follow us on social media. You can see all the different client happenings, our team happenings at Tabletop Media GP. And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all of those different things. And I am the second one on the left on the bottom row. And this is our awesome team. And we do have two photographers pictured. They're on the top row, and it's the woman next to the man in the photo. And then the really curly haired lady, Stacy is her name. She's another one of our photographers. So I don't know if you guys have seen Stacy around. She's been with us since the very beginning, doing a lot of freelance photography. And then Carolina is to her left. And she is absolutely wonderful. So hopefully you guys will have the pleasure of working with them sometime in the future. I know many of you have. So they have been awesome to help me with this presentation and have really taught me personally a lot about Canva and Picmonkey, and then also some of the photo tips and tricks that we're going to go over today. All right, so first up, I just want to go over our quick little itinerary or whatnot of the session today. So we are going to be discussing photo tips. We'll go over a few different photo tips, that being the rule of thirds, the sense of depth, using simple backgrounds, focus, negative space, and different perspectives. So we'll go over those a little bit more in depth in just a few minutes. We will also talk about Canva, which is a fantastic tool. I use it a lot to make social media graphics. I know Michelle from the NC Biotechnology Center, she chimed in and said that she's used it to make like a Twitter stat image before. I actually just use it, and I'll show you guys my example. I launched was kind of inspired by this series actually, but I launched this thing called Tabletop Travels, and we've been doing virtual Instagram lives where we cook and travel around the world. So we just did a session traveling to Lebanon and making mezza and different recipes. And I was able to use Canva to create a graphic that fit perfectly on my Instagram feed and also on my Instagram story. So Canva is a fantastic, very user-friendly graphic design tool, and you can also edit photos on Canva. So it's really, really neat, and I'll show you some examples of things that I've made, and would love to hear some of your ideas at the very end of how you might use Canva. And then next up is Picmonkey. So Picmonkey, I primarily use this tool to do a lot of my photo editing. I feel like it's just super user-friendly. You can easily adjust the brightness of a photo, crop it down or whatnot. It does also have the ability for you to create great social media graphics, but I personally like Canva better for that, because Canva has a ton of different templates that you can already go ahead and pick from and make some really sleek looking designs. So we'll jump right in. So the first photo tip I want to share with you guys is called the rule of thirds. I don't know how many of you guys have heard this term just kind of tossed around, but a lot of times people just don't really know what it actually means. So wanted to go over it today. So I don't know if you have your smartphone near you, but feel free to pull it up. And there is a function on your phone. You might have to look in your phone settings, but when you open up the camera, you can have those grid lines show up. And most of the time we like to turn those off because it's just kind of annoying or whatnot, but it's actually a great tip if you want to leave them on. So imagine that you have 4 lines whenever you're taking a photo, or whenever you're just like looking through your lens. So 2 of those lines would be lying horizontal across the image, and then you'll have another one, and they're 2 vertical lines. So it will create 9 even squares when you add all those 4 lines together. And I'll show you an example in just a second. But some images will look best with the focal point in the very center of the square, whereas if you do place the subject off center a little bit slightly, it makes your photo a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. So I'll show you an example right here. So what happens in the rule of thirds, you know that the tree right now is our focal point. If I would have just shot the tree in the middle of the photo, my eye is only drawn to the middle of that photo. But by transitioning and kind of shifting my focus over to where the tree is slightly in the corner, in that bottom third of the photo, my eyes, instead of just going straight to the tree, they kind of wander the frame. It kind of wanders up on that little bit of the rolling hill. I'm looking at the sky a little bit more, and I'm not just looking at the middle of the photo. So if you kind of play around with that, I could see this, going really well, like on your farm. If you're taking a photo of the tractor in the field during harvest time or whatnot, you could, position the tractor more towards that bottom left corner or more towards the bottom right, and then take that photo, and it would be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and you can get your field in the background. So it's a fun rule. It definitely will help your eyes wander a little bit more and just make the photo a little bit more exciting. So the next tip is to create a sense of depth. So whenever you're photographing landscapes, which I know a lot of you guys are on your farms, it helps to create a sense of depth. So what does that exactly mean? Well, you want to make the viewer feel like they are there with you in the photo. So how do you do that? You can place an animal. I know a lot of you guys have animals. We had someone who has some alpacas, so we'll use that as an example. So you can place your alpaca in the foreground of your photo to help give the photo a sense of scale. So you want to emphasize how far away the distance is. So I'll show you some examples. So this is one that I took on a local farm here in Warren County where I live, and just an example of how you can create that sense of depth. So I took one photo, which is on the right, of some lettuces just from above. It doesn't really show me a sense of depth or how far something is. So what I did was I took it overhead so you guys could see what that looks like, but then I squatted down. So I got down really low, I took my photo and I kind of shot the lettuce up, and it creates that sense of depth. And now you can see just how far those rows are going. If I shot it more landscape oriented, I would have been able to get even more of that in there. But just for this example, I wanted to show you just by how I'm moving a little bit and taking it at a different angle, you can really create that sense of depth. So I could see you, taking a shot of like your alpaca in the very front, like kind of squatting down and, really shooting his head or whatnot, and then getting your beautiful field in the background and just showing how large the farm is. So the third photo tip is to use simple backgrounds. So the simple approach to using, or the approach of using a simple background in photography is a really good tool because it really creates your eyes to just focus on that subject, and there's no distractions there for you. So what I like to do is, I like to think of cropping when I'm taking a photo. So maybe I have, an animal that I'm taking a photo of. I don't want to get a lot of noise and like a trash can in my barn and some equipment in the background. I want to just kind of like zoom in and focus on that animal. So decide what needs to be in the shot. Maybe when you're taking a photo of the animal, you want that barn in the background and the animal, but you don't want the tractor that you have over there, some equipment and things like that. So just think of what's going to be simple and what will not be distracting to the viewer of my image. So another tip is to use just a plain background. So neutral colors are really great, simple patterns. The grass is absolutely beautiful. And your eye should really just be drawn to whatever that focal point is of the image rather than a patch of color or something like an odd building in the background. So it's especially vital in a shot where the subject is placed off center. So going back to the rule of thirds, it's really great when you're using the rule of thirds to also use that simple background. So I'll show you a quick example. So I shot this photo. It's the same photo actually, and I was able to crop it so it has that more simple background. But right now you'll see whenever I'm sharing that photo on the left of my dog, so, I'm looking at the dog, but my eye is also kind of just drawn right up to, our shed with the kayaks hanging, the rose bushes, just the shed on the farm. So I'm not really like focused right in on the dog. But if you completely cover up that photo on the left and just look at the dog, my eye is immediately drawn to that dog. I see the grass, I see a couple flowers, but my main focus is on the dog. So using simple backgrounds is definitely important and something easy that you can practice doing. And you know what, if you do have somebody like randomly pop into your photo, we are going to use Picmonkey to show you how to edit them out. So you can easily just use the cropping tool. if you've taken a really nice photo, but you just want to like crop some things out. So for this photo on the right, I was able just to crop the top of that photo out. That way it created that nice, simple green grass background. So the fourth tip is to adjust your smartphone's focus. We talked a little bit about this if you attended the video class. So your camera on your smartphone automatically will focus on the foreground of the frame. So not every picture on your phone has an obvious subject. So like when you're shooting something like right now, my phone is kind of freaking out because it doesn't know what to focus on. I'm pointing at a computer and then a speaker. So it's not really sure what the subject is. But I have control on my smartphone by simply just tapping on my subject. So you can adjust where you want your smartphone camera lens to focus by opening up your camera app, first of all, and then just tapping the screen on where you want to focus. And it will adjust the lighting, and it's just kind of fun to play around with. So you'll tap the screen where you want it to focus, and it will sharpen that view directly on that subject. So that's something that I know I recently taught my parents about that, because they just always open up their camera and then click shoot and, you know, just rely on the camera to adjust. But if you really do play around and tap on your smartphone, it will focus on an object. And then I know on mine, I have, when I tap on something, I can also adjust the lighting of the subject. And there's a bunch of other tools on your smartphone that you can use. So I always say practice, because it's so much fun to see all the different capability that your phone has. But just by simply tapping on the subject, it will enhance the quality of your photo. And if your subject is moving, what you can do is tap the screen to correct your camera's focus just before snapping your picture. So maybe you have, like for me, I have a donkey. He likes to run around a lot. So if I'm trying to take a photo of my donkey while he's running, I can simply tap, and then I can even hold it down to lock it on where he is focused. And then I can just shoot my photo, and it will ensure that my moving subject has as much focus as possible when I go to shoot that photo. So that's just another little trick that you can do when you're using your smartphone. The next up is to embrace negative space. Sorry, I got a little tongue-tied there. Negative space is areas around and between the subjects of an image. So that's what that term means. So it's quote unquote like empty space. So this empty space allows your subject to really stand out more and evoke a stronger reaction from the viewer. So some examples that I was thinking about for you guys. Maybe you have like a beautiful pond. So you want to take a shot of just that large body of water. That's that negative space. Or perhaps you're going to take a picture of your field, but you only have the field slightly at the bottom, and you have that beautiful Carolina blue sky with the clouds in it, and the sky would be your negative space. Or maybe it's the empty field or a large brick wall. And I did put an example of some negative space. So this negative space is that color white. So you'll see I just shot this on our sink. I had some fresh radishes that I got from the farmer's market. I put it on a white plate, and there's so much negative space right there. It's that white is my negative space, and it immediately draws my eye to those beautiful hot pink radishes right there. So I think that's something that is, you know, definitely useful. Play around with it, you know, put something in the grass and take a picture of it, or, you know, squat down and just take a little picture of your field with the sky huge in your photo. So play around with that negative space and just see what types of artistic photos you can capture. Next up is find a different perspective. So photos taken from a unique, unexpected angle can make them more memorable. So it really makes the images stand out. And one thing that I've noticed a lot of is that mobile photos are usually just taken straight on. A lot of people don't take time to squat down or maybe stand up on a ladder and, you know, take like a photo of an animal from the sky or from a ladder. The bird's eye view is what we like to call it. So try, you know, just using a different perspective. Take a photo directly upward, play around with the sky as negative space, or you can take a photo at a slight downward angle. And I'll show you an example I took of my donkey. So this was one I just took straight on of him. I think it's a really fun picture. But then in the photo to the right, what I did was I squatted down just a little bit and I shot up to where I got his nostrils in it. And it just is like a funky looking shot, but I thought it looked really cool. He was moving around quite a bit, but if I were to even like shoot it a little bit more so I had him fully in the frame, I think that could be just an interesting, unique angle. So just play around. And I know that you guys have plenty of stuff that you can shoot on your farms, whether it's animals produce, to your tractor with the beautiful sky in the background. So just find some unique perspectives, and don't be afraid to climb up on a ladder, get up in the second floor of your barn and shoot down. So shooting up and down are some great ways to just easily find different perspectives. And just keep in mind, you know, shooting stuff straight on is pretty great, but you know, by simply moving around or just adjusting the angle of how you're shooting something, it can create a really nice looking photo. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about Picmonkey. So I just wanted to go over a couple tips and tricks that I like to use whenever I'm shooting on my smartphone. And then after I've taken these photos, I like to use this service called Picmonkey. So Picmonkey is an online photo editing and design service. It can be accessed anywhere. So you can access it through the mobile app. I have it on my phone, so I can easily edit just phone photos right there. Or you can access it from the web browser. I really do, you know, personally like the web browser a little bit more because it has that much larger screen, and I like to just kind of play around on it through the web. And the pricing, I need to go back and look it up. I think it's $12.99 a month. It might have changed, so I will update you guys and I'll put that new price in there. I couldn't find it last night when I was making these, but I'll try to go back and find the most current price. I know that we had signed up for this account like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it was $9.99, but I think they've upped it just a little bit more. But it's pretty affordable, and I really do like this app. So we'll go ahead and log into Picmonkey. So I have our account pulled up right here. And so this is what the backend will look like. You can see that we have a lot of different projects and stuff in here right now, but I wanted to just show you quickly how easy it is to edit a photo. So give it just 1 second. So you'll hit on create new. And then what I like to do is import my photos from my smartphone, or if you have a camera that you need to go in and edit, all you'll do is simply click from your computer, or you can drag your image right in here. So I'm going to go to my computer and we're going to edit a photo that I have access to on here. So we're going to edit this cocktail. I know that you guys have seen this before. And so Picmonkey will allow you to organize things, which is fantastic. So I'm going to change this image name to summer cocktail. And then I am going to create a new folder. So you can see that we have all these new folders. We like to organize it by our clients, which is pretty great. So I'm going to create a new folder for the client name that I'm editing for. So it's called Tombo. It's a restaurant that we help out with social media. So I'll hit create. And so now I have my image name, it's in my folder, and then I have my folder name under Tombo. And I'm using our photographer Stacy's account. So that's where you see her username right there. So I'll hit create. And then what it does is it loads in your image. So it'll pop in my cocktail image. And now I have full capability to go in and edit this. So it has way more capability than, you know, like the editor on your phone, even though those are fantastic and you can really edit a super nice photo on there. I do like to use Picmonkey for, you know, way more options. So you'll see that I can simply add text on top of the photo if I want. So we're going to go through all of these different things. So say I want to add in some text. I can actually choose free text layouts that are already available. So this is something really cool, especially if you're making like social media graphics. So maybe I was having like a cocktail party launch and I wanted something really nice. So I might choose this. And so it will automatically overlay a really nice text design. I can drag and drop it. I can go into this text and change the color if I wanted to. So maybe I wanted to change the color over here to be bright blue, or perhaps like a bright yellow, whatever I want, I can change easily. And then I can simply just click into the text and I can start typing and editing if I would like. So that's how easy it is to add in text. I'll go ahead and delete that just for the sake of teaching this. Then let's say I wanted to add in a different photo to go on top of this photo. I could simply do that by clicking on the photo section, and I can add my own image. So I could choose my image. It does integrate really well with like Google Photos, Google Drive, and Dropbox. But let's say I just want to add one in from my computer, I could easily do that. So it'll allow me to add in a photo or a logo, whatever you might have directly to this. So maybe I want to pop that in right there. And so it's something kind of cool that you can do. I know a lot of people like to make social media graphics that are branded. Maybe we work with Feed the Dialogue. And so perhaps we have a really nice photo that we took on the farm, and we wanted to put that Feed the Dialogue logo down on the bottom we could easily do that just by saying add your own image right here and clicking on the computer button or wherever that logo lives and popping that in right there. So another really neat trick. And something else that's kind of cool is that Picmonkey automatically integrates free stock photos. So I really love this. Maybe I want to search, I'm just gonna search cucumber because it has this nice cucumber on the drink. So if I wanted to search for cucumbers, it would pop up any kind of cucumber image that is available in here. And I could simply add that right into my photo right here, or whatever I'm editing. So I would do this. Oh, I added it one too many times. I could do that and add that cucumber image that way and drag and drop it and adjust it. So something else that's really neat, especially if you're creating social media graphics and maybe you haven't been able to get a really good shot of your cucumber growing. Well, you could easily just use one of these stock images and put your own text over top of it. So graphics, this is another cool thing that you can do. You can add your own image right from here as well. You can also search what types of graphics are available on Picmonkey for free. So there's like some really cool nature ones. So maybe I wanted to add in the seashell into here. I could do that. So there's a fun library of graphics. I love the holiday ones. There's like, you know, all sorts of stuff for Christmas, Easter, 4th of July, Memorial Day. If I wanted to add that in, I simply drag and drop it. I can play around, turn it, all sorts of stuff. So those are some fun graphics that you can add in. So maybe your farm is having a Memorial Day sale and you wanted to add something to do with the American flag onto your graphic. You could easily just type in here and search American flag, and it would pop up stuff that has to do with the American flag, and you could easily drag that and drop it on top of the photo that you're editing. So if you just want to only edit the photo, maybe you're not going to add any graphics, you're not going to add any logos, no photos on top of the photo, you simply just want to edit this photo right here. So there's all sorts of stuff that you can do. So you can crop the canvas, which I really like. So the canvas is this entire project that you're working on right now. And so you can actually look at aspect ratios, which we know aspect ratios are really important on social media. And so what I love about Picmonkey is that if you scroll down, it will already have those aspect ratios plugged in for you. So maybe you want to have this be a Facebook post. You could click on Facebook post and it would immediately edit it to be how Facebook likes to showcase a post on a newsfeed. Maybe I just want this to be an Instagram post. So I'm going to click Instagram post. So it's so smart, it will already go ahead and crop that into that nice looking square for me. So I'm going to adjust it a little bit to get this even more so in the center. And then I'm going to hit apply. So this aspect ratio is an Instagram post size. But you know what? Maybe I want to go ahead and change it and I want it to be my LinkedIn profile. It would change it there. So you can just play around and get super creative with that. I absolutely love that tool because, it's so hard to remember all these different social media outlets. What's the right aspect ratio? I can't remember. So if you just go right into here and search aspect ratio, you can easily pop that in. So I'm just gonna create this for a Facebook ad. So I'm going to drag and drop it and just focus right in on there. So I'll hit apply. And now it will automatically crop my canvas to be whatever I'm working on. So I'm working on my Facebook cover or Facebook ad right now. So then if I, maybe I'm not doing this for social media, I just simply am doing this for myself. I'm, going to develop these photos or whatnot. I want to resize my image. I can easily do that right in here. So this is also extremely helpful. Like if you guys have a newsletter, perhaps sometimes the newsletter services have certain like recommendations on how many pixels wide and how many pixels high your photo can be. I was just using MailChimp, which I know that I've discussed in the past with you guys. But so for MailChimp, maybe I wanted to have my height just be like, 400 pixels. So it will automatically adjust that and I can hit apply. So it makes it a little bit smaller. I can pop that into my newsletter and it will be much easier to email out to people and won't bog down their inbox with such a large photo. So that's where resizing comes to be really important. Especially important if you're emailing photos back and forth with people. If you email a super, super large photo, sometimes it can bog down somebody's inbox. So it's great if you can resize your photos to be more web friendly, is what we like to call it. Say I shot this photo and it was rotated the wrong way and I wanted to rotate it correctly. I could easily do that by rotating it clockwise, counterclockwise, or maybe I wanted to flip it. So maybe I want to flip it horizontally. So you'll see that I'm clicking this button, it's flipping it. Or maybe I want to flip it vertically. So I could also do that there. So I'm gonna flip it this way. And then there's also another tool right here for straightening. So if my photo wasn't very straight, I can use this tool and you'll see that it has grid lines that come up. So it helps guide your eye to know what's the best for straightening out your image. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit apply and it will automatically adjust that. Background color is something that I think is pretty nice. I don't usually use this on a lot of my photos because I already have a background, but it's great if you're like designing more social media graphics and you have like something from scratch, like your canvas from scratch, and you want to make the canvas like a bright blue and then insert text and photos on top of that. So I won't go over that in this specific example. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we use Canva. So I'm just going to go ahead and cancel that one. So those are some of those canvas edits. But now there is a tool called Basic Edits. There's an auto adjust button on Picmonkey, which I think is really great. It will go ahead and use its smart technology to automatically adjust your photo and, you know, brighten some of those colors up, eliminate some of the shadows or whatnot. So you can click that if you want to, but I do like to play around with some of those more like advanced edits or things like that. So exposure. So what I can do is in this button for exposure, I can adjust the brightness, highlights, shadows, and contrast. So I'll show you what happens when you're adjusting the brightness. So if I want to make this photo really bright, I can make it completely white if I wanted to, which I won't do. But if I wanted to make it brighter, I could easily use that. Maybe I wanted to make it a little bit darker, I could do that. So I think it looks pretty good. I'm actually going to make it just a hair darker for this example. Highlights. So you'll see it will go in and highlight certain elements. So you'll see the ice is getting way more whiter right now. So I could highlight it like crazy, or I could kind of tone it down a little bit. So we're going to do that. Shadows. So this is especially helpful. I know you guys are farmers, so a lot of you are taking photos out in the bright sun. Maybe there's some shadows that are, you know, coming onto your field and you want to eliminate some of those. This is great for that. So you can easily drag this and it will eliminate all those shadows. So you'll see now the background of the wood and the shadow from the cocktail is being eliminated, but maybe I want even more shadow to create a little bit more of like a photo that pops. I can also do that. Then there's the button for contrast. So this is especially helpful going back to that sunny day on your field. Maybe it has washed out a few of those colors. Use that contrast tool. The contrast tool will help really make those colors pop. So you'll see how bright it's getting. It looks a little crazy right now, but if I kind of eliminated that a little bit, I can showcase that hot pink drink a little bit more and that green cucumber. So I'm just going to contrast it slightly. Next up, there are some advanced edits that are built into Picmonkey. So there's like the curves and levels, there's a burn section, dodge, and clone. So these are a little bit more advanced. A lot of photographers like to use this, but you can create like, you know, the image to fade a little bit more if you wanted to, and use like these brushes to help with that. So you can like clone things. Like right now, I just cloned the cucumber over here. So this is something I would say play around with, because that stuff is a little bit more advanced, but it's especially helpful if maybe, you know, you have a beautiful flower photo and one of the petals fell off. You could use Picmonkey to clone one of those petals and put it right there where the petal fell off. So that's something kind of fun. Definitely encourage you guys to play around with that. But I think for the most part, many of us will just be using those canvas edits and then these basic exposure, colors, and sharpen edits. So that's how easy it is to edit on Picmonkey. Then if you want to go over to the left and use some more of their features, you can get really in depth there. There's a section called Touch Up, which I think is really neat. I use the teeth whitening one quite a bit. Sometimes if we're taking photos of people, you can easily select a brush and whiten up their teeth for them, which is kind of fun. I also use the blemish fix a lot. Say somebody had, you know, a little zit on their face that you wanted to get rid of, you can easily fade that out using the blemish fix. There's also a spray tan feature, which is kind of crazy, blush, wrinkle removers, an airbrush, all sorts of stuff. It's mainly for people to touch them up. I know a lot of us might not be taking like close-up people photos, but this is really great for a lot of photographers if they're taking like headshots or things like that. So just something for you guys to be aware of that's in there. There's also the effects button, which is kind of interesting. So you could use that if you wanted to, and it will change your photo quite a bit based on a certain theme. So like this one is the Tucson theme. So it'll be like nice and warm colors. There's the Santorini theme if you wanted to do that. And you can make that a little bit cooler colors if you wanted to. So these are kind of, think of it as like an Instagram filter. So it's like filters that are already built in, or effects is what Picmonkey likes to call it. So that's something pretty neat as well that you could play around with. There's also textures. If you wanted to add textures onto your image, you could do that. So this is like a glitter background, and I could, you know, add that if I wanted to, and have that as a texture. I don't really use that, the texture that much, unless I'm like designing some type of flyer that I really want to have a nice texture look. That's when I'll use that. But primarily, I don't really use that. I do love the wood texture. I think that's pretty cool to use. If you wanted to use that as like your background of a social media graphic, I think that could be kind of cool. There's all sorts of stuff that you can play around on there. There's clouds, ice, water, paper. There's also seasonal patterns that you can pick. So maybe you wanted to use something a little bit more seasonal, like the hearts for Valentine's Day. So you could do that and play around with that. But that's mainly for when you are creating those like more graphically designed types of items. Then there also is the frames. So you can add simple frames around your images. So this is something also really neat when you're creating social graphics. Maybe I want to put that frame right around my cocktail photo. I can see what kind of thickness I want around my border. So I could really frame it out quite a bit if I wanted, or drag and drop it. There's the inner border. I can make that thicker if I wanted to. I can even leave space for a caption. So maybe I wanted to write some text. So maybe I'll go back up to my text box and then add in text onto that like bottom space right there. Sorry, this is like so huge, but if I wanted to add that in, I certainly could right there. So pretty neat. Then I'm gonna go ahead and just get out of this and create something new. So I do like to go when I'm creating a social media graphic to the blank canvas. So I showed you how to add a photo straight from your computer and go in and like mainly just edit that photo. But if you wanted to create a social media graphic using Picmonkey, I like to do a blank canvas or from a template. So the blank canvas, that's where I could, you know, add in that wood grain background if I wanted and start popping in text over it, or I could select a template that they already have. So Picmonkey has a lot of great templates right in here if I wanted to do that. So let's say I wanted to create a template for Instagram. I could scroll down to the Instagram section and I could pick, you know, a template from their Instagram. They have like stories, ads, posts, and different things like that. So maybe I wanted to create a really great Insta story type of post. So I could go in here and easily just like edit it out, change the text around if I wanted to, right in there, and it's automatically sized and already has a great look for my Insta story. So that's something really neat. Maybe I wanted to add a photo right on top of it. I would simply go to my computer, find whatever photo or my Dropbox, Google Drive, and just pop in that photo right onto where I'm gonna have my Insta story. So that's a really great tool. Like I said, we are gonna talk about Canva next. I really do prefer Canva over Picmonkey for the templates, but just a personal preference. There is also themes that you can take a look at. So it basically, a theme is if you clicked on like Santaland, for instance, they already have effects, graphics, and text that they have curated on Picmonkey's site to be more like Christmassy. So that's something also kind of neat if you wanted, maybe you're looking up for like Halloween, you want to make a really fun Instagram post and you want to go to the witches theme, and you'll pick text that is more, you know, Halloween-y, like you could add that into there if you wanted to. And then maybe you wanted to click on adding in a spider to the post, you could do that. So that's something else that's kind of fun that I sometimes use. Yeah, and then there is a comment section. So this is something that my team will use every now and then. You can add a comment to this this like Insta story ad that I'm making or whatnot, and I can add that in there, and it will email my team to let them know, or whoever is connected to the Picmonkey account to let them know that there is a new comment on that post. So that's something kind of neat that you can also do as well. So just wanted to show you guys what Picmonkey was all about. And then next up, we are going to talk about Canva. And I will look real quick. I had a chat question. Leah Chester Davis says, I need the spray tan. I am right there with you, Leah. I do love the people section, how you can like brush up people and things like that. It's kind of interesting. So next up, we'll talk about Canva. So Canva is a graphic design platform that allows users to do a couple different things. You can create social media graphics, which I know we're talking about all things social media. You can create presentations on Canva. You can create posters and many other different types of visual content. Canva is available on the web and on your mobile device. So I absolutely love Canva for mobile. I think it's a little bit more friendlier than Picmonkey, but I do like to always present on both of them because I think they're really great. I do have the Canva paid version, which I believe is like around $15 a month or so. I will put the updated pricing in there for you guys when I send out the slides. But I do have the Canva Pro because it does have a little bit more some other kind of functions that I really like it will remove backgrounds from your images like totally for free instead of hiring a graphic designer to do that for you. So it's a really cool graphic design platform. And if you do want to spend a little bit of money, you can, or you can use the totally free version. So I really do love the app that's on the phone, and I use it all the time on the web. And it does integrate millions of different types of images. So they have a lot of stock images, just like Picmonkey. It also has a lot of different kind of fonts, templates, and illustrations that are available. So let's go ahead and jump into Canva. I know we have a few people that already are using Canva. So I hope that you'll learn something new or be inspired to do a new type of design. So you'll see when you log into Canva, this is my platform. So what it will do is you'll have your home screen that you can click on, and the home screen allows you to basically design anything. You can search that designs that have already been made, templates, and much more. So you'll see recently I searched Memorial Day because I needed to make a Memorial Day Instagram post for one of my clients. So if I search Memorial Day, you'll see that there's already a ton of stuff that's already made. So what I did the other day was I actually selected this one right here, this Memorial Day, and I designed my own flyer for a client. They're a restaurant and they were doing a Memorial Day menu. So that's something really neat. Maybe I want to use this one to create just a little graphic. And what I could do is maybe I'm designing an Instagram post that's telling everybody, wishing you a meaningful Memorial Day. And I wanted to put my logo, my tabletop logo on there. I could totally do that. So that's what the home screen looks like. I wanted to just show you that real quick. So whenever you go to the home screen, you'll see that there's a bunch of different types of things that you can start designing. So recommended is a section I usually look at quite a bit, but it will recommend like create an Instagram post, and it has the pixels and the aspect ratio right there. Design a Facebook cover, a Christmas card maybe, or a poster, presentation, video, logo, etc. So there's all these different recommended things that you can choose from. You can also easily access your recent designs. So this was that Memorial Day menu that I created. That's the graphic I was talking about earlier that I designed for that Tabletop Travels live Instagram that I've been doing. And I could just keep on scrolling and pick what I like. I could also use the top sections up here, social media. So if I click on social media, I can toggle over and see all the different types of social media things that are available. So you'll see there's animated social media posts, there's Facebook videos, Instagram posts, Instagram story. I mean, the list just goes on and on. So I think it's really cool. There's Snapchat geo filters available, Pinterest pins, LinkedIn banner, all sorts of stuff. So definitely recommend playing around with that one. Then let's say I want to go to my designs. So maybe I am a Canva user. I want to go and click on one of my past designs. So I had clicked that meaningful Memorial Day design. I could easily access it just by clicking all designs. clicking on this, and then it will open up a new window and I can start editing my graphic right there if I wanted to. So that's what the all design section is. And this is really helpful because Canva will automatically save stuff that you've worked on, which I really like, because sometimes I forget to hit the save button, and so, or my computer might crash or something crazy will happen. But Canva is cloud-based, so it will automatically save it, and you can just pop back onto canva.com and go back to your graphic that you've been working on. Then there is the template section, which basically same as home. You can browse the different featured collections that they have and choose from. They have over 50,000 free ready-to-use templates for your next project, so that's pretty cool. Then there is the photos section. So this is just where you can choose, you know, a free photo if you wanted to use something. I love this egg photo. I think that's really cool. If you toggle over the photos, you'll see that some of them are free. There are some, whenever you're like searching for stuff, every now and then you might pop on a premium photo is what they call it. And the premium photos you might have to spend like a couple bucks on, but there are so many great free photos. So maybe I wanted to design some type of social media graphic, but I wanted to choose something to do with my farm. So maybe I wanted to go in that food section and I want to only browse for free photos or whatnot. So I'll go here and I can start browsing for all sorts of stuff. Maybe I wanted to just put in strawberries because I'm a strawberry farmer, and I'll type in strawberries and I'll see all these beautiful photos. So I really love this one. I think I could work with that one. Or maybe, you know, I want to keep on going down. I really, you know, love the one of the strawberry plant. So I'll go ahead and click that, and I can simply download it straight from Canva and use it, or I can click use in a design. So this is something really neat just for you guys to know as well, that you can use Canva to find stock images. So maybe you just wanted to find a quick stock image of freshly growing strawberries. You want to just download it and only use that photo on social media. It's totally free. So you could just simply hit download and it would automatically download that image to your computer, and you can click it and now that's yours to use. So something kind of neat that I like to do if I'm searching for something for a client. And then let's see. And Beverly is asking, is that just the pro version? My screen doesn't look like that when I use the free version. That might be something to do with the pro version. I know that when you're searching for photos on the pro version, I can actually select free. But I think if you're just using the regular version, you might have to search free and premium. So good question though. I'm sorry I don't have the basic version downloaded to show as an example, but you should be able to have a photo section. Let me know if you don't for some reason though. But the photo section, that's what that looks like. So you can search for millions of different types of photos and download those to your computer or use it in a design. So let's say I want to use this egg photo in a design. And then once I pop that open, it will tell me what would I like to create. So maybe I want to use this as a Facebook post. I'm going to click Facebook post, and Canva is so smart that it will automatically go ahead and crop that for me to be the right dimensions for a Facebook post. So now that I have my photo selected or the template, whatever I might have, Canva is really great because you can go ahead and add in different elements to the photo. So perhaps I wanted to add in a chicken. So the elements is like your little clip art is kind of what I like to refer to it as, or you know, just like little things that you can kind of pepper into your graphic. So let's say I want to add in a chicken on top of this egg photo. So I'll go ahead and I really like this one. So I'm going to add this one in right here. Then if I simply click on this chicken, I can like drag and drop them around, make them bigger, do all sorts of kind of fun things right there. So that's what that element button is meant to do right here. Then if I wanted to, you know, maybe change the color of this element, maybe I wanted to put him right on the pink egg, but I wanted him to be white. So I could go into here and click white, or I can make them like a pink color or whatever I want to choose. So I'm going to make them white. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm done adding in my element. Say I wanted to add in some text. So Canva, like Picmonkey, has different font combinations already prepared for you. They also have headings, subheadings, and then body text that you can click on. So maybe I'm just making a flyer saying that I have fresh eggs for sale. I can click on add a heading, and then I want to say fresh eggs for sale. and I can simply click on this, drag it around, drop it wherever I might like. I can expand it to make it bigger. So that's something else that's kind of neat. And I love that Canva has these pink lines that will show up. So it's showing me if my my text box right now is centered. So I could, drag it around until I get that pink vertical line popping up to let me know that this is centered. So that's something kind of neat to also take a look at. If I wanted to change this font, I could simply highlight this whole box and then I go up here. So right now we have the Abril Fat Face font. That's an interesting name. Then I could scroll on down. There's popular fonts that are listed out. Maybe if I like a certain type of font, like an Open Sans font, I can search for that and it will pop open different fonts for me to use. So I can easily just play around. If I wanted to change the size, I go up here and I could change it for whatever size I would like. So that's something kind of neat. I can expand this box if I want to, just play around and get creative. So that's what the text looks like. You can change the color right here, text color. So if I wanted to make that black, I could, but I really do like that white color because it really does pop on top of that egg photo. So then maybe I wanted to add a subheading up under here. So I wanted to say raised on Tabor Farms, or whatever my farm name is, raised on Tabor Farms. So I don't like how that black looks. I'll go up to that color and hit white. And maybe I want to make that a little bit bigger. So you get the gist of it. I can really play around with that. So next up, which I think is kind of fun, is that you can actually add music to your Canva designs. So this is something neat, like if you're making an Instagram post that you want to have sound on or whatnot. I don't really use this one a lot, but it's something that I did just want to let you guys know that is available there. And so it's stuff that's already popped into Canva and it's free for you to use. So that is something that's kind of neat. Then there is a video section. So this would be something really neat, like for the purpose of what we're designing right now, we're designing a fresh egg flyer. I wouldn't add a video on top of this, but if you are starting from scratch and you wanted to have like a cool video of the beach and you're launching a travel agency or something like that, you could click on that beach video and it would pop that into your design and you could add text over it or all sorts of different things. So something also neat that you can do to add like a logo or things like that under or on top of a video. So then this is something that I did want to show you guys that I thought is kind of neat, is that there is this background section. So say I was starting from scratch and I wanted to have a really neat background. So I showed you how on Picmonkey you could add like a wooden background, things like that. I think Canva has so many more amazing backgrounds than Picmonkey does. You'll see that there's all these different kind of abstract looking ones. There's bodies of water. There's this funky pineapple one, clouds, etc. You can even search. Maybe you want to search farm. And it would pop open, well, we'll search field. There we go. So field, and it will pop open different backgrounds that you can automatically use now on your design. So if I wanted to switch it up and use this as my background, I could certainly do that. And that's something really neat that's already just built right into Canva and something that you can use. So I think that one actually looks pretty nice, even though it's not about eggs, but we'll leave that there for now. So that's backgrounds. And as soon as you select your background or your image or whatever you want to use as that, that social media graphic, then you can start adding your text on top of it. Then there is one for uploads. So say you want to add in your logo. So maybe you were going to add in the tabletop logo. So you would go and click upload an image or a video. And so you could upload your logo right there and hit open, and it will pop it into now your logo library or your image or video library on Canva. So you'll see in here, I already have a lot of stuff that I've loaded in. So I've actually added in my Tabletop Media Group logo. So I'll just simply click on this logo and it will pop it over on my design. So I'm going to add my tabletop logo and I'm going to position it right there. So it's pretty neat. You can also have different effects. So if you were to click like on your logo, you can have in different effects to that if you wanted to. So I like to play around with that. You can pixelate, your image if you wanted to. I love to use this background remover, which I'll show you guys in just a minute. That is something that the effects for background remover, you have to have the pro version to do, but it's something really cool that will save you a lot of time. So that's what this section looks like when you're adding in an upload. You can also add in, like, let's say I wanted to add in this chef. This is Chef Drew. I wanted to add his photo in here, but I don't really love how he looks with, you know, the background of this image on my beautiful field photo. So I have the pro version. So I want to show you guys what this effect does. I think it's the coolest feature of Canva, and it saves you a lot of time. So say I wanted to add in Drew right here to my design. I can simply click on him and then effects, and I have his section highlighted on Canva, and I can go into background remover. And so I've selected background remover, and it's working. It just takes a few seconds, but it will completely remove that background. How cool is that? This will sometimes take graphic designers, you know, a couple minutes, hours, whatever, depending on the photo. But I mean, look how cool that is. Now it just looks like he's popping up right out of the field. So I do really like to show people that little trick. It's called the background remover. And then I could, you know, adjust his size if I wanted to, and it will automatically adjust that background. I'm gonna move the chicken over, and then we'll have him slide over right here. So that's something really neat that you can do. If you aren't happy with your design, you wanna like swap out something or delete text, all you have to do is just click on the little box and delete it. So something else to keep in mind. So we're gonna switch up this flyer, play around with some of the things. So that's the upload section. And you can upload as many things as you want on here. Maybe you wanted to upload this other logo that we have. So I could do that, play around with it if I wanted to as well. Next up is the folders section. So if you wanted to select something from a folder, so I don't have anything right here, but like if I wanted to add in all of my client logos, or say I'm, you know, a strawberry farm and I have like 5 different versions of my strawberry farm logo, I could pop that into my folder and easily just click on my logos and access that right from there. So something else that's pretty great. I did want to bring this up too, is that under the more section, Canva will connect with a lot of other really cool apps and integrations. So there's a Google Maps one. I know we talked about Google Business for your farm. There's actually a Google Maps integration, and you can select like a Google Maps image that you can drag and drop. So if you wanted to add in your farm's address there, you could do that and put that onto some kind of graphic that you're making. So I thought that was kind of neat. And then I love this one, the emoji one. So say I wanted to add in like a tractor emoji. Let's see if that'll work. I can simply click on that and it will add in that fun tractor emoji. So something cool that I like to play around with a lot. I love just taking a look and seeing what all their different app integrations are. There is a QR code generator too, which is something really great. So maybe you want to direct people to a website, or you want to create a graphic that's going to go on like the front of your farm stand where people can order online or whatever it might be. All you have to do is enter in your URL. So if I wanted to type like tabletopmediagroup.com and hit generate code, it will automatically create a QR code for me. So how cool is that? You can do that right into Canva. So if I wanted to create that QR code, I could put that right in there. I can even, I believe, change the color of my QR code if I wanted to help it kind of match whatever I'm designing. So that's another really neat integration. So definitely play around with that. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can integrate. You can also add in your Google Drive folder. So if you wanted to add in Google Drive, that way it was really easy to import, you know, any photos that you have stored on Google Drive. All you'd have to do is connect that Google Drive account right there. So something really great. And then let's see, go back. Michelle's saying that our QR code's still used a lot. So it's something that I'm not seeing as much, quite honestly. I know they were like really big for quite a while, but I will say that some people still do use them. I see them a lot on like fronts of restaurants, or I've seen them a lot on like the front of a farm stand, for instance. I'll see that sometimes where it says like, you know, scan our QR code and, you know, something will pop up. I did actually see it. This was kind of an interesting example at a escape room that I did a few months ago. They had a QR code on their wall. So whenever people walked into the escape room, they always had to sign a waiver. And so all I had to do on my phone is pop up on my camera app, and then it would automatically scan my QR code, and it would take me to that web page for the waiver. And so I was able to fill out the waiver. So that was something kind of interesting. So I do like that. Maybe your farm has a waiver that you need people to sign. So instead of typing in that really, really long URL, you just use that QR code. So I think that's something kind of interesting. So then I did have a couple other questions I wanted to address. Rebecca's asking, other than just posting to social media, are we legally allowed to use these stock photos elsewhere? Yes, you are. So these are free stock images that are available to use anywhere on the web. I do also love, there's a website called Pixabay, pixabay.com. This is something really cool that I love to use. It's a free stock image website, and it will actually tell you where you are allowed to use your photos. So like if you go to pixabay.com, some of them are only allowed to be used on the web, but if you want to use it for print, then that's something that you would have to pay for. So something that's a great question, definitely something to keep in mind. And then let's see. So another question was Michelle Von Cannon says, can we post directly to social media from these apps? Yes, you can. So you can, I have right now published to Facebook. So I am, of course, creating a Facebook post right now. And so if I have linked, my Facebook, I could do that, and I can connect my Facebook right here. Right now, I don't have mine connected, but if I wanted to connect it, it would automatically go ahead and publish that for me. So that's really great if you want to connect your social media accounts. There are a bunch of different ones that you can automatically connect. So you can see, you can even connect Twitter, Slack, Pinterest, all these different options. So that's another great question. And last but not least, I think I had another question. What was that free stock photo site? It's called pixabay.com. I just put that in the chat. I really do like that one. And I also love to use Canva's free photos as well. That is built in. And that was, you just go under here to photos and you can search for free photos right there. So that's what Canva, like some of the functions. I highly recommend just like playing around, jump in and see what all they have, because there are tons of different tools out there. If you go to the photo section, you can search all those free stock photos. There's also just some really neat things that are out there, like a brand kit. If you wanted to start creating that in there, like maybe for your farm, you wanted to go ahead and add in different logos that you have for your farm and your brand colors, you could do that. You can even upload your own fonts. So maybe a graphic designer has created a specific logo for you that has a specific type of font. You could upload that into Canva, and this will now be under your brand kit. So whenever you're designing things, you can use your elements from your brand kit. So something else that I think is really neat. And then there is a way that you can invite team members onto Canva. So for me, it says that each team member will cost an extra $9.95 a month, paid annually. So if I wanted to do that, I could. Then we could all kind of work at the same time on certain tasks. And so that would be something really neat if you have other people that you want to collaborate with on Canva. And then Michelle is asking, any advice on layouts for social media, text to image ratio, basic guidelines for graphics? So I kind of say just use what's pleasing to you and your eye. Don't have, a ton of text and things on your design. I do really love, I know I showed you guys kind of like those grid lines that will pop open on Canva. I love to use those and make sure things are centered and, not off to one side and then my text is somewhere else. That looks kind of crazy. I think just use what's pleasing to your eye. And then as far as like the ratios go, that's what's so beautiful about Canva is that those aspect ratios are already built in. So I always use those ratios that are already built in whenever I'm designing something. I will say that less is more, just a general rule of thumb in graphic design. You don't want to have a ton of text on a poster, for instance. You want to make it short and sweet, to the point. And that's why I also really do love those templates. So if you're not sure if something is looking good or whatnot, use one of those templates and design it based on that. So I love to go in here and maybe, I was going to design a quick Facebook post. So I could click on whatever one of their templates looks good to me, and I could create my own Facebook post based off of that design. Or maybe I am creating just a quick poster. and I wanted to use one of their designs. So you can see really less is more. There's just like short little text. This is a great one for like a sale. So having like a fun image in there and just giving just little short blurbs. So that would be my advice on that end. Awesome. So I know we are out of time. It's right at 1 o'clock right now. There's a ton of stuff that you can do with Canva and for Picmonkey. I know they're pretty similar. I just wanted to show them to you. I think Picmonkey is a little bit more robust in like the photo editing side of things. Like if you're just popping in photos that you've taken on your camera or whatnot, I really like to use that one for photo editing. For Canva, I really like to use that a little bit more so for like designing those graphics. So if I had to pick one to invest in, I would say Canva all day long, but that is something that I really think is great. So I will hang out for a little bit longer and answer some questions if you guys have any. I know that it is a little bit past 1 now, so if you do need to hop off, feel free. But Michelle is saying, how do we create a template for our brand to use for all social media? So Michelle, if you wanted to create a template, I would certainly go to that brand kit and then go in and add your brand logos. So like she's with the North Carolina Biotechnology Center, I would add in your brand logos, your brand colors, and brand fonts. And then when people are going to create a design, they can use those brand kit elements. You could even go in and just create a new design if you wanted. So create a new design, and you could have like your graphic designer create just like a custom type of Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter post, and then have that saved. And when you add in all the team members, you could then go in and edit those different types of posts straight in Canva. So I would recommend having just play around and create like a Facebook cover post or Facebook post with all of your different brand guidelines. And I think that would look really good. And if you wanted like an employee to access it, you would go into all your designs, and then they could take, you know, whatever that standard like Facebook post or Instagram post looks like, and then go in there and edit it themselves. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the